Welcome to Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. On this podcast, my guest and I will discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can live a life that is happy, healthy, and whole. So I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey guys, real quick, before we jump into the episode, I need you to do the 3 S's for me. What is that? First of all, I need you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss an episode of our podcast. Number 2, I need you to share it with your family and friends. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone else. Lastly, I need you to say something. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see from us, what you like, what you don't like. We are open to your suggestions. We want to know everything that you want to let us know about the podcast. All right. Now, get back to the episode. All right. Welcome to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I am your host, Ernest James, and I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, subscribe to our podcast on all of your podcast listening platforms. Also, make sure you guys are checking us out on our YouTube channel, which is the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. Again, that's the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network, where you can find our sister podcast, the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, as well as our podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. There are also some other podcasts on there as well. But these are our main 2. Again, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast and the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, all of which can be found on our YouTube channel, the Deal to Heal Podcasting Network. So make sure you guys go there and subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends. Also, our podcast is sponsored by our new school platform, which is the Deal to Heal School for Living. Again, that's the Deal to Heal School for Living, which helps us to further our mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill by bringing you resources and workshops on different topics in order for us to help promote our our mental health as well as our emotional health. So the link is down in the description. The first 7 days is absolutely free. Then after that is $27 a month. And each month you will be given access to a new workshop. So you guys can go find us on the school platform, which is the Deal to Heal School for Living. The description will be in the comments, or you could just scan the QR code in the upper corner. That way you have direct connection to the Deal to Heal School for Living. So thank you guys once again, as I said, for being here for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. And we're going to jump right in this thing. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with a guest. And I was finna say your name, and I knew I was gonna mess it up again.
Try it.
Right. I was like, give me a second. Let me get my mind together, right? So I can say it right. I can't say it. Iryna, thank you. I keep wanting to say, I was going to say Irene. I'm like, no, it's not Irene. It's something else. Okay. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for being on the podcast. And you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners, and we definitely appreciate it. So thank you so very much for being on.
Absolutely.
So we're going to jump right into this thing. So do me a favor, introduce yourself to my audience. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Hi, everyone. Well, first of all, Ernest, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I am really grateful to be here with you and with your listeners. My name is Iryna Barnett. I am the founder, host, and producer of Moments That Define Us podcast. It's a podcast about human stories. We all have a stories and we deserve a stories to be heard. And I think through sharing a stories, we can heal ourselves and we can heal the world. So I'm on a mission to do that. I'm originally from Ukraine. I've lived in the United States now for over 22 years. So I consider US and especially Colorado my second home. So just a little bit about me.
All right, all right. So we're going to jump right into it, and you mentioned Colorado is your second home, but that means you had a first home, which was not here. Even though I know when we were speaking a little bit before we started recording, that you've probably been here longer than you lived anywhere else. So let's jump right in and tell us a little bit about your story and how you even came to be here in America.
So I'm originally from Ukraine, west part of Ukraine, beautiful city called Ivano-Frankivsk. Don't try to pronounce it; it's a lot of consonants. But I was 19 when I came here. I always love learning languages, and I remember my dad told me like learn English because it's going to be helpful for you one day. So I listened to my daddy-o, and I got into English, and I loved it. And I remember when I was in school, I was like, I want to do something. And then I was like, I love teaching. When I was like in middle school, I was like, oh, maybe I'll become a teacher. So then I went and got my degree in teaching. So by trade, I'm a teacher, English teacher, elementary school teacher. And I remember when I finished college, I was young and I was like, I don't know what to do yet, but I want to do something with English. I want to do something with kids. And then I found this program called Au Pair Program, which is like American families back in the day. I think now it's kind of all over the world. They can hire you to be like a living nanny, right? Applied for that program. I came to US. I was 19, never been outside of Ukraine. I never been on the airplane. And I decided to go just by myself, live with this family that I've never met. Just back then, I don't think Zoom was even a thing. No. So we just talk on the phone. I think Skype was a thing, but I don't think we met. So I came here, I thought I know English, no problem. Again, when you learn another language, like I was learning English in Ukraine, so I thought I knew English. No, Americans speak very fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, I remember coming here and I was like, I am not going to survive. And so my plan was to be here for a year and then go back home, probably get married, get a bunch of kids and kind of, be there. But then, when you make a plan, life has a different plan for you, or life ruins kind of your plan. So when I came here, I think I became an independent. I learned because I was living with my parents, like this is like in a culture, you live with your parents even after you get married for a lot of the time. So I came here, I learned how to make my own money. I learned how to be independent. I remember living with this family that I was a nanny for, and I need to go get driver's license. And I thought she was going to go with me, the mom. She's like, this is where you go. And I remember thinking like, well, by myself, but I always tell her I'm still friends with her. I was like, that was the greatest thing you ever did for me because that pushed me so much out of my comfort zone. And I had to like find myself, find the DMV and do all of that. So, now 22 years later, I'm here. Like I said, Colorado is my second home. I'm married to an American man from Oklahoma. We have two beautiful kids. Now my family lives here, so it's been a long journey. But like I said, when you make a plan, life throws you a curveball.
Yeah. So is the rest of your family still in Ukraine?
Well, no, they were, but when in 2020 the war started in Ukraine, I was lucky to bring them here, both my parents, my mom and dad, and my brother and his wife. So now I don't really obviously still have my family home there, but I don't have I have one cousin who still lives there and my mom's sister. Otherwise, all my family is here now.
Great. And I always ask. I'm always interested in hearing the stories of those who come from other countries and other spaces. Because like I said, we all have different stories. And then I've personally, and I say this shamefully, I've only been out of the country once, well, twice. So I'm like, okay, I got to get out more, myself. And so I'm always interested in hearing other people's stories.
Mhm.
And even though this is not a political platform, right? But since you are here, I just want to kind of get your opinion on some of the things that are happening in this country now, which has become your second home, and the administration that we have now, with the whole situation with ISIS and all of that. I have my opinion, right? Even though I've been here my whole time of my life. But as you know, growing up as an African American in America is trying within itself, and so it seems like America has its pick every now and then, where it's like, okay, we're going to pick on these people now, you know what I mean, and it just kind of like bounces around. But being that you are an immigrant or were an immigrant who came here, and now to see how the administration is kind of handling, you know um, immigration and things of that nature. What is kind of your viewpoint on it, as much as you would like to share, on kind of the things that's going on now?
That is a big question, and I would like to dissect it in a few
Mm-hmm.
parts. So, because one thing you said, even though this is not a political podcast, I think a lot of the times we think that whatever is, it's like, oh, when people say, I'm not political, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about that. Listen, politics affect our life. It affects the healthcare we have, the job we have, the safety we have, all of that, right?
Yeah.
So I no longer subscribe to that, oh, I'm not political. I have my opinions because, again, as a human being, not even an immigrant, like let's take that away for a second, right? As
Mm-hmm.
another human being, as a mother, as a wife, like when I look at that, like it is unhumane, it is evil what is happening, right? The what they're doing to people. But also, like I said, I've lived here for 22 years and I've got to learn the history, the real history. Like I like to read a lot about like history of this country, right? And how it was built. So let's
Mm-hmm.
not pretend that this is like a new thing. People are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. Listen, Jim Crow was not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
The country was built like, people now say you can't be illegal on stolen land. Let's not sorry, I almost cursed. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget how this country started.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not think, oh my gosh, it's fascism. Let's not forget that Germany, that they learned this from how what America was doing in the South. So let's not pretend that this is new and we were all high and mighty and now this is a new thing. Trump is just like, when you have a disease, Trump is like symptom of that disease. Trump did not
Mm-hmm.
start this. He's
Right.
just the representation of what, and he's like, I give him credit, which I never said that before, for like he say what he thinks, right? He's
Yeah.
not politically correct, and people are like, finally, somebody is as racist as me to say all this crap. Finally, somebody represented me. But let's not pretend that this is new. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Let's not
Yeah.
pretend that this is new because
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. It's just the new wave. We slap a new, now it's ice. But
Yeah.
before was, I think slave catchers, when the Jim Crow was that not happening? The lynching of black people, the white people were gathering after church to see black people lynched. Like, damn it, like let's not pretend that this is new thing.
Yeah.
And I get very passionate about it because it's just like, for when I hear people like saying, well, there's no but.
Mm-hmm.
like this is evil and this is not okay. And so for anybody who say like, oh, I don't want to speak because I'm not political, no, we all have to speak up. Either whatever platform you have, whatever school you have, whatever, you have to say this is not okay. Because the reason that this administration and the people, like, like when they canceling all these shows, when they arresting journalists. I mean, Don Lemon, like what, last
Mhm.
week,
Yeah.
all this, because they know that our voices are powerful. Like they know that. They know that. That's why we all have to say this is not okay. And whatever we can do to help this. So that's one part. Another part, Ernest, I'm white immigrant, and I know the privilege that I hold, right? I know that. And to anybody who said, well, no, we all, like, we have the, even as an immigrant, because America is built on racism. And even like white immigrant versus black or brown, there is a difference. So don't tell me there is not. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
wasn't his wife an illegal immigrant at some point? Come on, but she's, because she's white from a white country, she's just, you know. But I think the country is built on immigrants. The country is it's the soul of the country. It's
Yeah.
why before I came to yes, before I know all the history and like the depths of it, I was like, oh my God. To me, America was this melting pot, you know,
Yeah.
everybody come together, everybody love each
Yeah.
other. So excited to come here. And then you come here and you like, what is happening? What is
Yeah.
happening here? So no, this is not okay. And I feel like the ICE agents are the one who like races inside, who like they give them the guns and then they go and do all this horrendous stuff to people. Like when you see pregnant women being dragged. And then another thing that they getting people who are American citizens.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's 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 not okay on any level. But again, this is not new.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I'm very passionate about it.
And I was going to say that I love your passion. I do it, and I admire it. Because one of the things that I know, like even what you said about America being uh, the melting pot, right? Because even growing up in school, that's what we were taught. Like it was America's this melting pot. Um, and when I heard this a while ago, and I know it to be true that America is one of the best, uh, has one of the best marketing systems in the world because it
Yes.
markets itself to the world like this is the greatest country ever. You know what I mean? And then you get here and it's like, we got some issues here. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things I say too is there's a saying that says, if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it.
Yeah.
And we see the same thing happening over and over again. And when you think about, we talked about how this country started. Number one, it did start with immigrants, but even at its conception, there was a part of this country that was somewhat evil, right? And it was like, what can I do? What's going to best serve me? So even if we talk about the pilgrims, and the pilgrims came and they broke bread with the Indians, but then they ran the Indians off and gave them smallpox, and what I mean, that whole thing. And then when they built the railroads and they brought in a lot of people from China's immigrants to
Yeah.
come to build the railroad system, and then when that was done, what did they do with them? They're like, okay, now you guys got to push, so like I said, I think America has its choice that it chooses every now and then. Like, okay, we're going to get these people now, but it's always had this thing that if you are not and I can't even say the majority now because the majority of Americans are not white.
Mhm.
The majorities are the minority is the majority now, whether you're an immigrant or just a minority. But I think again, America has its picks every so often. You know what I mean? And that's why I say it's only a matter of time, and then it's going to be, that you're going to start, they will start getting the same treatment as some of the other people has started getting.
Ernest, I can't hear you.
Am I back?
Okay, yes.
Okay. Sorry to you guys that's watching and listening. My camera had went out for a second and then my mic went out. But what I was saying was, again, if we don't learn from history, then we're bound to repeat it at some point. And it's only a matter of time before those who are a part of white America who don't speak up, who doesn't use their voice to speak on the injustices. It's only a matter of time before it gets to their doorstep as well. You know what I'm saying? Because sooner or later they're gonna run out of people to pick on. You know what I'm saying? And then it's
Yeah.
going to be, it's not may not be racism, it'll turn into classism. The rich versus the poor and all of that. So, but that's always been um, um, a part of America, and it's that part that we don't like to talk about. Like I said, when you go to other countries and you listen to how America is portrayed, and like you said, it's the great melting pot. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's exactly what it is. And then when they get done with you, they throw you in the pot. You know what I mean?
That's a good analogy. Yeah, but also like, because now what's happening now, a lot more people started to speak up, and and what happened to Nicole Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota. you know they were like, quote unquote, not the good white people, you know what I mean, because they spoke
Mhm.
up for the others. So that's again, like you said, now they're gonna start going after white people, like if you, like, quote unquote, not on the white side,
Mhm.
so that's, but also, like, again, Black people are killed by the police all the time, all the time. But like, now that the white people starting to be killed, now there is a little bit more, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it really, you didn't see what was happening until your people had to be killed for you to really speak up and say something.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of people don't want to hear that, because how dare you say, but it's true. It's true, so.
Yeah.
And you're right, if we don't learn from the history, because that's why they don't want to teach the real history. That's why they're banning all this incredible book. They say, okay, this is what happened. But again, it doesn't, we can still get better. You can still be better.
Mhm.
Just learn from your mistakes. But now
Right.
it's a choice. After so many mistakes, it's a choice that you're making
Yeah.
to be the same. And then when something like, how is this happening? No,
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we
Yeah,
got that out of the way, right?
we started on heavy.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you, because although I do say that I'm not really into politics. It does play a part in all of our everyday life, and so it is a reality that we have to speak on occasionally. So, well, it is what it is. So that being said, let's go back a little back into your story, right? And so just coming here again at 19 and trying to find your way. I like one of the things that you said earlier, because you said by the lady who you're working with, by her not going with you, it kind of push you forward, right? And to be able to be more independent and learn things for yourself. And I think that's cool because I remember, and I hope he don't mind me saying it, but if he does, it doesn't matter. My baby brother, right? So my baby brother, I have 8 siblings. And so my baby brother, who's the youngest of all of us, he was like I want to say wild child, right? And so he was staying with my parents, but he would leave and go stay with his friend for a couple months, and then he'd come back. Then he'd leave and move to New Jersey, and then he'd come back. And so he was always just like bouncing around, but he was always able to come back because he's the baby. And
Yeah.
so one time he went wherever he went, and he came back, and my mom was like, "Well, your dad said you can't come back." And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Your dad said you can't come back," and he was so upset. He's like, Mama, how you gonna let daddy put me out? Whatever. He's like, no, but he said you can't come back. But now, years later, he was like, I was so mad, because he was, like I said, he's like the free child. He just do whatever he want to do. He said, but he was like, I was so upset when, my dad said he couldn't come back that last time. But he was like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it forced me to grow up and start really taking life serious. Because, like I said, he was just like, doing whatever, to, living his life, But he was like, I was forced to slow down, start taking my life serious, and build his life and everything. And so he's definitely in a better space now. He's still always going somewhere, what I mean? But at least he has his own home to come back to now. But he still travels a lot and things of that nature. But so, you being in that space and now having to go out and kind of find things out on your own, and kind of how, tell us a little bit more about that experience, because at 19, that's still fairly young too, to be in a new country and then still have to figure things out on your own. Like for me myself, who've been here my whole life, I don't think, well, I did have a good idea of what I wanted to do, but it still took me a little while. I was probably like 21, when I really started, putting things together. But you at 19 in a new country and a new space and having to figure all of that out, how was that? Tell us a little bit more about that whole experience.
I think coming here at 19 was the best thing. Definitely one of my biggest defining moment, right? Because like when I was telling you, because again, in Ukraine is just, I'm not saying that in US parents don't help their kids. That's not, but it's like my mom would go with me kind of everywhere, because it's like, that's just how it was. So when I came here, like your brother, I was not upset, but I was shocked. It's like, well, how am I going to find this, this DMV that I have to go or whatever? And she's like, okay, here's the address and you can go. But that forced me, that I grew up so much that I don't think that I would have be the person I am today if I stay in Ukraine and married there and have kids there. No, I would be a completely different person, So when I came here, like I said, one quick thing I wanted to say. When I was, I don't know, like I was probably elementary school, and one of my mom friends, they immigrated to United States. It was like in the 90s, right? And remember they came, and her son, he was probably like, I don't know, like high school or maybe a little bit older because he already had a job. And I remember we were at dinner, and again, I'm like, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years old, right? And so my mom, me at the table, my mom, her friend, and her son, and we talking, whatever they're telling us, but United States, this and that. And her son said this phrase that stuck with me. He's like, America taught me how to be, America helped me to grow. America taught me how to be an adult, how to be an independent. I was like, I remember thinking, like, I still remember thinking, like, what? That's interesting, but I couldn't understand. Not until I came here, I was able to understand, and I have expressed the same to my parents, that I became very independent. I am independent now that it's sometimes that it drives some of my family members. I'm like, I can do this. I can go there. I don't need nobody's help. Like I became fiercely independent. I like to help now others, but I became independent. I grow up. I had nobody here that can, that I was used to in Ukraine, but I was able to go and make friends on my own and like learn about different cultures. Like I have friends from all over the world, and I love that, So it was great experience for me. But now today I'm almost 42, and I think, my gosh, I was a baby. I got on the airplane and I came here not knowing, like I knew the family and I know that I was going to Colorado, but I was like, how did I do that? But I'm glad I did. It was the best decision.
Yeah. So now, having said that, because you mentioned about having friends from all over the world and things of that nature. So now you get to the point where you have this idea for this podcast,
Yeah.
right? And so tell us about how you came up with the idea of the podcast and then what's the premise of it.
Okay, so the name of the podcast is Moments That Define Us, which I love that name so much because we all have, different moments in life, right? Like you share some, I share some, right? And like I said, coming to yes was definitely my defining moment, but like that you think back, you don't think of them as defining moments as they happening, right? But then now I look back into my life and I was like, that was my defining moment. So we all have these moments in life, that define us, that help us become who we are today, that help us move through life. And because of those moments, we are where we are today. But it started, I had this idea, even, I know we talked a little bit before, but I had this idea I remember I had my son, and a friend of mine that I used to work for a corporation, and I worked with this friend. She's originally from Mexico. And, we worked with her for a few years, but I didn't really know her story like deeply. So she came and brought me food, as friends do when you just a new mom. And I remember we were sitting around my kitchen table, and I don't know how, but we got to talking about her story. And she told me her story and just how she came here as a kid, and she had really like a heartbreaking story. But I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew your story. And I remember asking her all these questions, and she opened up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I never knew your story. And I remember that like stuck with me. And then like as 2020 came, pandemic, the world shut down, people kind of just talking through social media. And I remember seeing, especially when George Floyd was murdered, when there was all this protest and people were like, kind of like, oh, I'm on this side, I'm on that side. And I was like, what are we talking about? At the human level, we are all humans. Like if we share our stories, if we hear each other, like it can help us heal, it can help the world heal, we can like build community that we so desperately need. So it was like, there is something. And I remember at that time I was working for mortgage industry, and I was, every blood sweat and tear went into this job. But I remember I bought equipment, and I was like, I told my husband, I need to buy equipment for a podcast. And so he helped me buy an equipment, and I put them in this bag, and I put them in the corner. And every time I came to work in my mortgage job, I look at that and I was like, there's something in that bag. There's something in that bag. And I would I like to write, pen and paper. I'm still pen and paper kind of girl. And I would write like these different ideas. I didn't even have the name, anything, but I was like, there has to be something with stories that made us, stories keep popping up, right? And because I was so busy, I had two small kids, job that was insane, but it always was like there. And so I remember years passed. I remember calling my friend, and I was like, I'm thinking of starting a podcast. You want to do it with me? She goes, yeah, just let me know when. So we kind of didn't talk about it for a few months, and then we decided to come together. We came with the name, we came with everything. And now I am in season 6. I just started season 6. That, like, the joy that I had from the very beginning, even writing on the paper till now, I've interviewed so many different people with so many different walks of life, races, genders. It just, I love that. I love asking people, tell me what defining moments help you become who you are today. So yeah, human stories.
I love it. I love it. The human story, and you have an amazing story as well. I'm definitely going to check out the podcast, and hopefully soon I'll be on there to share my story as well. I definitely appreciate you being on, and I even enjoyed the conversation that we've had, even though this is not a political podcast. Um, I do love to hear it from the viewpoint from someone other than myself
Yeah.
on sort of the things that's going on right now. But that being said, I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to leave us with a word of advice, inspiration, however you feel. Also with your social media handles and things of that nature, where we can find your podcast and where we can find your podcast and follow you and listen to you. Because I know you don't have Facebook, but you do have Instagram, right?
I do have Instagram, and so my podcast comes out every other Tuesday. And on Instagram, I am at Moments That Define Us, and the same on YouTube. My podcast is video, both video and audio. I started loving video so much more because, like, you can see again, because I'm such a, like, I love seeing humans, right? Not just hearing, seeing, and like you see the emotions, you see the hand gesture. I talk a lot with my hands, and so like I love watching podcasts now. It's to me like a movie, you know. So yeah, so it's on YouTube, and it's and on Instagram, and also I have a website called momentsthatdefineus.com, where like you see different, like you can learn more about me. I have, like, if you wanted to sponsor my podcast, there's different sponsorship packages there as well. You can send me questions if you know a good guest you wanted to send me, if you want to be a guest. I love talking about, like I said, human stories, so I always welcome that.
Great, great, great. All right. So I still want you to have the last word. So we do have that. So I'll give you a couple seconds to think about what you want to say. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for joining us on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Make sure you guys go to our website, dealhealfulfill.org. Again, that's dealhealfulfill.org, in order to find out more information about our podcast and everything that we do. You guys can go there and check us out. Also, ebooks by ejames.com, which formerly was my website where you could get all of my ebooks. That website is going away very soon if it haven't already. However, you still can get the ebooks, but now you can actually get the ebooks for free by joining our school community. The first 7 days of our school community is absolutely free. So you can go there and check it out and see how you guys like it. And just go to the resources section where you can download all of our ebooks that we have. So ebooks by ejames.com is going away. I maybe already gone by the time that you're listening to this. But if you scan that QR code in our upper corner to check out our school Deal to Heal School for the Living school community, then you can get all of the ebooks for absolutely free. So make sure you guys do that. Deal to Heal Tees, which is our t-shirt line, our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tee and be inspired all day. That is our tagline. Make sure you guys go to healtees.com in order to check out our inspirational t-shirt line, including our podcast merch, which is our t-shirts with our podcast logos on it. There's one for the Girl Dad Discussions podcast and one for the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast as well. Last but not least, over the last couple of years, I've been blessed to be a part of an organization called the Forgiveness Mission. And what we do, we have free virtual workshops bi-monthly, talking about the topic of forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others, even forgiveness of the world. So make sure you guys go to forgivenessmission.com. You can sign up for our free virtual workshops. The workshops are absolutely free, but the information is priceless. So whenever you're listening to this episode, either a workshop just ended or there's one coming up. So again, that's forgivenessmission.com to sign up for our next free virtual workshop. And speaking of that, one thing that I am proud to announce is that we have started our nonprofit organization, which is the Deal to Heal the World Incorporated. So again, our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. And we want to do that in every way that we can by bringing amazing products and a podcast. But there are some things that we want to be able to do for the community that's absolutely free for the community, but we can't do it without your help. So please, the link will be in the descriptions. Make a donation to the Deal to Heal the World Incorporated, where we can do more of the work that we love to do, absolutely free for the community in which we serve. So that being said, I'm gonna say it right. So give me a second. I gotta get my mind right. I can't say it. I want to say Ira. It's not Ira. It's
Iryna.
Iryna.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was something like that. I just, like you said, that Y just be throwing me off.
I know. I know.
But again,
See,
I thank you.
it's different.
I thank you so very much for being on. I thank you for definitely sharing your story and your expertise and experience here on the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I want you to have the last word, and so the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ernest. I appreciate you having me on. I really love the conversation we had. But what I wanted to say to people is that, remember, we are all so much more similar than the outside world is telling us. So don't be afraid to talk to somebody who is different. Go talk to your neighbors, go talk to other people, go to immigrant organization, help, volunteer. Again, we are all human beings, no matter how we look and where we come from. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be loved. We all want to be seen. We all want to be heard. We all want to be understood. That's all why we here on earth. So let's build community. Let's help one another. Let's uplift one another and don't put anybody down. And again, there's always the right time to speak up and stand up for what is right. Remember that. Always, no matter the size of your, platform. And when I say platform, I don't mean, your social media. That is a part of it. But whatever you are, when you see something wrong, say something. That's what's going to bring real change. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. We definitely can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast, where our mission is to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill, to deal with your problems, to heal from the pain, and to fulfill your purpose. Until next time, you guys be blessed. Thanks for listening to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. Remember to listen, like, subscribe, and share. This episode has been brought to you by Deal to Heal Teas. Put some inspiration in your situation. Wear an inspirational tea and be inspired all day. Let's go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Remember, our mission is to help you to deal, heal, and fulfill. Deal with your problem, heal from the pain, and fulfill your purpose. Thanks for listening.